It's March 20th today, and today we're gonna be working on the greenhouses here a little bit. There's a bunch of snow that I'm gonna clear just to get everything prepped for when we bring the plants into the greenhouses. Right now they're indoors under some grow lights, and in probably about a few weeks we'll be bringing them out to these greenhouses. So I thought I might as well just take you guys along here, and I could talk a little bit about my greenhouses and why I even grow in greenhouses to begin with. So one of the obvious reasons to some of you is all this snow here. So I live in a climate that is pretty cold for the winter time, and our summers are pretty short. So my growing season without the greenhouses is very, very short. It's about 3 months, I think, without the greenhouses. And with the greenhouses, I could extend that season to at least 5 months. I could probably go even longer too, but 5 months is usually what I extend my season to. So why I make the investment in the greenhouses besides extending the season is the temperature alone. Even in the summertime when we have warm temperatures, the nighttime is still pretty cold, especially for growing things like peppers. So even if the cold doesn't kill the plants, it basically slows them down and almost stops them growing completely sometimes. So the greenhouses, it really increases the plant growth quite a bit. One of the biggest factors that influences plant growth is temperature. So that's why it's so worth it for me to invest into greenhouses, because temperature alone will dramatically increase the plant growth and the production. Some of you might be looking into greenhouses and wondering what type of greenhouse to get. There's a ton of options out there. There's different types. So I'll just show you guys the first greenhouse that I bought and what I like about it and what I like about the newer greenhouses I bought. So in front of me here, this is the first greenhouse I purchased in 2016 or 2017. And this is a hobby type greenhouse. So you'll see these types of greenhouses online, and they can be pretty pricey. They have these polycarbonate panels and these vents here. These vents operate on a piston here. So when the temperature rises, the wax in this piston expands and it opens this vent here. So there's no power for these vents in here. It's all automatic with the temperature. So there's 4 vents on this greenhouse here, and we have our sliding doors. So this greenhouse, the thing I like about it with the polycarbonate, it's dual wall polycarbonate. So the insulation value is actually pretty good with this greenhouse. When the sunlight goes down and at nighttime, it holds its temperature a lot better than a greenhouse like this, where it's just a single thin layer of plastic. Now the thing I don't like about it is it's actually pretty fragile. So I don't know if it's just cheap panels that they put on these greenhouses or if this happens to a lot of them, but you could see here all these holes. This is hail damage. So we get quite a bit of hailstorms where I live, and after about a year or two, it started to put holes right in the panels here. The other thing I don't like about these panels is they seem to have yellowed quite a bit over the years. Now, I think they rated these panels to last about 10 years. And obviously it's been about 10 years, but they started to yellow a lot before the 10 years. So yeah, that part I don't like. And now there's holes here. So what happens sometimes is the rain gets in there and then it flows in and it drips inside the greenhouse. The other thing is these panels are really expensive to buy. So as I started thinking about my next greenhouse, I decided not to go with this type of greenhouse, and I went with this plastic here. This greenhouse here has metal frames. The other greenhouse, the first one I showed you over there, has aluminum frame. So aluminum, you'll end up paying a lot more for that. But this one here, I really like this one. It's really simple design with these metal posts here. It's pretty easy to put together and it's actually quite sturdy. With this greenhouse here, there is a little bit of customization that I had to do to finish it. So for the most part, it's pretty simple with the instructions. You can put it together. But the harder part was finding a door and cutting all the metal pieces and making sure everything fits properly. And also these vents, they don't come with the greenhouse, but they come with these metal bars here to basically customize how you want your vents and all that. So this greenhouse here was actually probably, I think, almost half the price as that first greenhouse I got there. And the thing is with this one, when the plastic is no longer good, I could replace the plastic very easy. That first greenhouse there with the polycarbonate panels, I don't think that's going to be as easy to replace, and it's probably going to cost me an arm and a leg to actually buy new panels. So I don't even know what I'm going to do with that greenhouse when the panels are no good. But this one here, this greenhouse, it could easily come down, it could move, the plastic could be replaced. And so I'll show you guys how I set up the vents in this greenhouse. So over here, we have the exhaust fans. And I purchased these ones from Amazon. They're AC Infinity. It's a pretty good brand. I've been using it before with vents inside my grow tent, and I just found their fans were pretty high quality. They're not cheap, but they're what I decided to go with this greenhouse. So yeah, I bought two of these fans. These are the Airlift series, the AC ALT 14. So I think that's 14 inches or whatever, that's how big the fan is. And I put two of them in this greenhouse. So what I do is, if I plug it in here, it'll actually turn on. So there you go. So that turns on, and what happens, how this vent system works in here, when that turns on, it creates a negative pressure inside this greenhouse, and it opens up these louvers right here. So these aren't powered, they're gravity powered, I guess you could say. So with the negative pressure, it sucks air in here and they open. And then when this fan stops, the louvers over here, they will close. So it's a pretty simple system. And the one thing I don't like about this system is because they're not powered, if it's really windy outside, the wind will blow these like that, and you might get a gust of wind in the greenhouse. It's not a huge problem in the middle of the summer, but in the winter when I start things, a gust of wind in here could be quite chilly. So what I actually do in the springtime when I'm starting the plants and it's really cold outside is I'll actually tape these shut. And there's enough air gaps in here that when those fans turn on over there, it still brings in enough cold air to cool the greenhouse. So these fans here, they come with a temperature controller. So this is where it plugs in. I have the temperature controller inside right now, but it's just a digital thing that you could program. You could program the humidity, temperature. You could set times for the fans to come on and off. So it's quite customizable, and you could actually set up a pretty good environment using the control systems. Ooh, there's strings everywhere. What I have for heat is I just plug in a space heater into this here. So I installed power into this greenhouse, and I installed a 240, I think, volt power source so I could run bigger heaters. In a normal house plug, 120 volt, you could probably only get up to 1500 watt with your heater. And my heaters that I use to heat this greenhouse are 4000 watts. So that's why I installed the 240 volt. And then I also have 120 volt powered in this greenhouse as well for all of the fans and pumps. If you're wondering what all these strings are dangling from the top of the greenhouse here, these are what I use to tie up my plants. So in this greenhouse, I grow everything vertically, and each plant is secured. So these are just plant hangers. I'm not really sure what they're called, but you can find them online. They're really popular in commercial greenhouses, and you could drop down the string from here. They're actually more designed for like tomato lowering greenhouses where you constantly lower the tomato plants. In my greenhouse, I don't lower my plants. I just string them up and twist them up the string as the plants grow. What I have here are the boards that I grow all my plants on. So I use coco coir slabs, and I place them on top of these boards here. And underneath the board is the, if I can move it here, I think it's frozen to the ground. We have this dripper tube. So each board has a dripper tube. You can see the line starts over here. So before I had my irrigation water underneath the deck, and then it would run through this tube here, and at the end here there's a little elbow, and it comes under each row here. So each row has a like a T connection, and at the end of each row there is just a little dead end connection here, and I could open this to let the water flow out, but when I'm running the system they stay closed, and then all of the water comes out of these drip emitters. This is the system I use to grow my pepper plants with drip irrigation. It's a type of hydroponic system, and these drippers are really important. In my early days, I thought I could get away with not using drippers because I didn't want to pay for them. They're a little bit pricey. They're like 50 cents a drip emitter plus the tubing and everything else. I think this system came to like $200 or something for my couple greenhouses or whatever, which at the time I didn't want to swallow the $200. It was a lot of money for me at the time. I would try to build my own drip system for cheaper without drip emitters using a gravity system because I didn't want to use a pump. And you know, I tried all these things over the years and I realized that there's a reason why commercial greenhouses use these drip emitters, and that's because they work. So yeah, there was a lot of years where I was trying to reinvent the wheel. Oh, I could do this for cheaper and I could save money. And over the years, I realized that trying to save money costs money. It costs time, it costs efficiency, and sometimes purchasing the right equipment is extremely valuable. So yeah, I'm really excited about this season. Over here, I'll show you guys. This here doesn't look like much right now, but this is a hydroponic deep water culture system that I started to build a couple years ago, and I just never finished it and operated it because I just didn't really have much time. I still don't have much time, but I think I'm gonna try to make it work. So this system here is going to grow leafy greens. So I haven't quite decided exactly what I'm gonna grow in it yet. It might be bok choy, it might be lettuce, but it's gonna be some type of leafy green. So with this, I don't have a greenhouse for this system. I'm gonna try to do it outside. I've never done a system like this outside of a greenhouse, so I really don't know how well it's gonna work. There's a few issues that I could see potentially being a problem. That would be rain getting in the system on the plants. Obviously the temperature outside, if I start too early, the plants could freeze. Animals like deer, I'm gonna have to do something so that the deer don't get into the lettuce crop or whatever I'm growing and eat it all. So this is gonna be an interesting experiment. So this year I'm gonna finish building this system. Pretty much right now it's just a frame and there's a lot more that needs to go into it. But essentially what I'm gonna do is I'm going to flood this table with water and I'm going to float the plant on top using polystyrene sheets. And it's gonna be recirculating, so there'll be a pump, and I'll probably end up using a water chiller because we need to keep that water cool. Oh, here comes buddy. He wants me to throw the ball. So I know a lot of this video, I kind of just rambled on about random things. There's a third greenhouse at another location that we won't get to today, but I want to show more of that greenhouse with you guys because that's my latest greenhouse and it's very similar to this one here. The only difference is it's a little bit bigger and it has 2 layers of plastic. So it has double the insulation value, and what I do with that greenhouse is I actually inflate the 2 layers. So it's a pretty cool greenhouse technique that people in colder climates like myself use to just get that extra insulation in the greenhouse. It also helps with avoiding dripping and condensation inside the greenhouse. I know a lot of you guys are probably just waiting for the plants to get in the greenhouse and for me to show more videos of the plants, and it's coming soon. I just wanted to basically pull out the camera and show you guys what's happening, keep you updated, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon.